What is up, Misfits and Moonbasers? It's your boy Ray Recall coming at you with another video review. And today we're going to be continuing continuing on with the Siege Constructicons. Studio Series Constructicons. There we go. So let's just get right into it. So today we're going to be looking at the Studio Series Leader Class Constructicon Scavenger. Yes, that is a Leader Class Studio Series Constructicon. He is quite the chunkster, indeed. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the first thing you notice whenever you pick this guy up is just that he's a brick with a arm. Just love it. Love it. So, real quick, look at some of the details on here. He does have a lot of molded in details, even picked out in paint. So it's just these ladders, this the house thing up there. I don't know what you would call it. A lot of little ladders, little platforms, huge treads. Same on the other side. He does suffer from a bit of a problem with visible kibble, as in there's just a giant wheel there that's visible. The whole back is nothing but robot kibbles and bits. You got visible head syndrome right there. I'm messing up my set. Doesn't like me talking smack. But yeah, he's just a huge brick of a figure. And taps together pretty well. So, he does have some articulation. Let me see if I can be able to show it off. Real quick before I get into that part, though, there is a certain way that the bucket is supposed to be if you go based off of how things are molded. Like up here, you can see how that piston is supposed to connect into this piston, even though they are on a hinge. This part goes about that far back, and then the bucket is on a hinge that, you know, it can go pretty far, but that starts breaking up the sculpt. So really, you just kind of want it to be right about here, and that's how it's supposed to look to be screen accurate. But it does have much more joints. Heavy ratchet joint right there at the base. Let's see here. You get a hinge joint here that goes all the way forward and back about that far. You got a hinge joint here that goes about forward that much and back that far. The bucket itself is on a hinge here and can go about that far back. He does have 1, 2, 3, 4 rolling wheels on the treads, and no clearance issues whatsoever, despite there being a whole bunch of stuff going on here, so that's real nice. And it does scale pretty well as well. So here he is with the little deluxe cup. There you go. There's that. So, since I'm not going to be going into combined mode in this video, I'll just go ahead straight into the robot mode. So, let us begin, shall we? I do believe so. What you want to do to make things a little bit easier, straighten out the arm and have it pointing upward, parallel to this joint. You can see because that's where that panel line is. You also want to take this section, flip it out, and this section right here, flip it up and out of the way for now. Then come to the very top of the bucket and start pulling things apart, and you will see them untab, and they tab into several places. Here, here, some tabs there, and a clip right there, as well as a tab right there. But once you untab the bucket arms, you want to take these panels and, as you can see, there's a double hinge right here, and flip them like so. You'll see that this tab will go into that clip, and that'll clip together just like so. And as you can see, whenever you're going back into vehicle mode, that tab will go into that port right there. Same thing for the other side. Clip that together just like that. And already that looks intimidating as all get out. You can take this and also lift that up. That'll help with some clearance issues. Let's see. It's going to be interesting to do this on camera because it involves a lot of stuff. Next, you want to take this panel. You can see where it's on a hinge right here. And bring this out like so. And whenever you're going back into vehicle mode, that tab will go into that slot. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. Just like so. Now you're going to want to take these components and separate them. Let me see. You're going to want to separate them here. And as you can see, you'll know when everything's oriented right whenever you're going back into vehicle mode, because there are a long tab and a short tab. We go into a long slot and a short slot. And then this little tab will actually go into a tab right here on the wheel. So this tab that my finger is on, I don't know how well you can see it on camera, but that tab, there you go, you can see it right there, will go into that slot right there. So you want to take these sections, same on both sides, and put them off to the side like so. You want to take, now what I'm going to do, as you can see that there's a clip here, and just take this whole assembly and drop it back like so. That'll clip into place. A lot of things clip into place very solidly on this figure. That's something I really like, really appreciate. So now you have these off to the side. You're going to want to take these sections and they will clip in, and that forms one of the wheels. So you're going to want to take, next you're going to want to take these sections right here, just flip them up a little bit, and then take this wheel. Now, I will say, this armature right here, this little black armature, is what connects this wheel to everything else. So be very careful whenever you're doing anything with the wheel that you don't break that armature, because that is going to be what connects the entire torso or the entire shoulder assembly to the lower body assembly by this wheel. So be very careful with that. In fact, if you want, you can even loosen some screws on this wheel. That'll help make things turn a little bit easier. But for now, if you just want to just have it out of the package, just be very careful when twisting it. You're going to want to twist it all the way around so that these gaps right here are facing the same direction as the face. That's very important if you want to go into robot mode. Now, as you can see, all this stuff is on a hinge. So this will just gently drop down and rotate here. You want to collapse in these treads to the wheel. Do the same thing on the other side, and in the process you can move the shoulders as well. Drop in the treads for the wheel. And then if you look at the bottom of the wheel, or on the inside, there will be two tabs where the treads are, or two slots and two tabs. Same on both sides. So you want to take one, take the other, and then just make sure that they're sandwiched together just like so. Give it a few good squeezes together. And there you have the bottom wheel done. Take these arms, rotate them. There is a hinge joint right here that'll rotate. And then this panel will flip up like so. Then you just take the arms and then just kind of orient them to get them out of the way. Same thing on the other side. Have this hinge right here. Rotate this assembly around and then just kind of get the arm out of the way. And then for this, you want to take this panel so that it sits like that on the shoulder. And then you're almost done. Now you got to work with these little struts back here. So having them like this, you're going to want to take your thumbs right here and then take your fingers and hold this still, and then you want to push all this so that these struts, as you can see, they'll have a little, try to do this, there's a little notch and a little black tab right here. You want them to just kind of sit together like so. I'll do that same thing on the other side. Just like that. So now the wheel assembly looks like it's all one thing and not necessarily just tabbed into the top of his head. And go ahead and split these little fingers out. Use the claws to prop them up. And there you have Leader Class Scavenger in his robot mode. And yeah, if you saw Revenge of the Fallen in theaters, you remember that scene where he showed up. That was the big, like the big opening scene was seeing this guy tearing through China and just destroying everything. I also had the PS2 Revenge of the Fallen game, and he was a pretty memorable boss in that. So, I really like this character. I never had the original Revenge of the Fallen toy, but from what I've seen, it is very much an upgrade from that figure. With the exception of, you know, having this wheel not being an actual wheel, it's just a stationary thing, so he can't do the whole unicycle of death kind of thing where like these wheels just keep spinning. But it's sacrificed for the for the combination mode, so I'll give that a pass. So real quick, take a look at his huge head sculpt, which, believe it or not, the head itself is really just this little piece. This little piece right here. It is on an armature and a ball joint. So you can have him emote. I guess you can call it face articulation. And it can actually do a full 360 like that. It can kind of move up a little bit. It can definitely look up all the way, but then you're breaking the sculpt. Let's see. I guess since we're already doing articulation, this whole unit itself can move back and forth on a hinge. And as you can see, whenever the face gets too low, it moves out of the way. So he can look up that far, look down about that far before it starts messing with the sculpt. Arms are on rotation. They can do a full 360. This is where the shoulder proper is, and it can go in and out. There is a bit of, get this out of the way, there is a bit of butterfly joint, but it doesn't go all the way back, so his arms are always kind of facing slightly in. You do have a bicep rotation that does 360 degrees of movement. As you can see, the arm goes back all the way, as well as forward all the way. So you have very good articulation in the arms. And then there's also the finger. Only the outer fingers for the hands, unfortunately, but it is what it is. And then a very cool thing is that if you hold the upper body, you can actually rotate the lower wheel. So I don't know if you would call this hip articulation, wheel articulation, lower body articulation, but it also will start shifting the shoulders, which can shift independently, of course, but that's still a neat little feature. It's kind of almost has automorph in that respect. So now there is a few things you can do. You can balance this guy pretty well. Obviously, you can use the arms to help him balance, but you can balance using just one arm, so it does have some pretty good dynamic posability options in that regard as well. Now, as far as size goes, he is a leader class figure, although most of his size is in his width. For example, here is Studio Series Deluxe Scrap Metal. Here's Voyager Long Haul. You stay standing up straight. Stand up straight. There we go. Dinobot Scorn. They have very close matched reds for these figures. It's not so much a bright red as it is like a kind of a little bit more subdued. And Earthrise Ironworks. Yeah. So as you can see, this guy is pretty big. And he basically forms the shoulders of Devastator. Now, when I get into those combined videos, it's going to be very important to remember his connection with Mixmaster, because it is a very solid connection. However, getting to that point is a little bit tricky because you have to kind of have what my words were just now doing to my mouth is what you have to do to Mixmaster. You basically have to untransform him from combined mode or halfway transform him into combined mode and just start finagling things a little bit. Once everything is secure, it's like dead solid, but getting there is a bit of a pain in the butt. So be sure to check my video on that, especially considering how the instructions really don't help with that in that regard. So yeah. But anyway, that's it for this video, as well as my Studio Series Constructicons. At the time of this recording, I still have Overlord and Scrapper. I still have those two to get, and once I get those figures, I'll do videos on them, as well as how they combine with the other figures as well. So anyway, that's about it for this video. So thank you so much for watching, and I will keep posting and making reviews as I get figures. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.